So this is what comes after death, huh? A big-ass screen in an empty white room, thought Vincent as he looked around. Suddenly the screen turned on and started playing what looked like baby videos, but only he knew exactly who the people in said videos were. He could remember every detail of his life after all, and even then forgetting your own parents isn't something most people can actually do without a severe case of Alzheimer's. This means that the little bundle Dad is holding would be me. Vincent noted as he checked for any changes in the room after the screen turned on. Finding nothing, he just began watching the life he lived from a different perspective. Literally in this case, since he remembered everything from the first perspective and now he was seeing things from the third. Hope I don't have to go through the whole 34 years. I get kind of depressed and slightly unbearable a few times, and it's not great seeing yourself be an ass just because you're smarter than everyone else. Vincent thought, due to not actually being able to voice things aloud at the moment, which took a good amount of his attention away from the rerun playing. I look like a naked genderless Jedi ghost. What the hell, he muttered internally as he saw his near featureless glowing and transparent blue body, which he could only assume was his soul. Aw, fuck it, let's watch the show, Vincent finally thought as he sat down and settled in for the longest movie of his existence. 'Cause you can't really say of his life, once you're dead. Man, it was always funny remembering my parents' reactions to the crazy shit I did when I was a kid. I mean, what kind of 4-year-old uses his RC car's motor to make his tricycle go faster? Single quote. That kick to win that National Mixed Martial Arts Championship is still epic and makes my blood boil. Honestly, those Karate Kid moves can suck it, and Jin Mori would be happy that I recreated Wekuk. Aw shit, here comes Miranda. Fuck, it's depressing just thinking about her. And that she never told me about the child we had until I couldn't even be part of his life. Really wanted to be able to be a good dad like mine was. Would have even put aside most of my projects if I knew. Single quote. Well, at least I succeeded making cold fusion a reality and made colonizing the moon a success in exchange. Doesn't fill that hole though. Single quote. And here comes the second lady who kicked my heart in the nuts. Fucking Joanne. And yup, there it is. Cheating on me with that small-dicked moron because I apparently wasn't fulfilling my duties as a man. Something which would have happened if she hadn't complained about it hurting every single time we tried, and I got tired of hearing her complaining about it. I created my own brand of lube just to fix the problem, but the bitch just had a shallow one. I can't fix that. I can't just make a pussy longer. Single quote. Well, at least it was fun seeing her face when she found out that she was getting fuck all out of me in court. And the face when she realized her little lover lived in standard apartment compared to my near Tony Stark-like house. Beautiful house with an awesome view, top of the line everything, a voice responsive system wired through the whole place, and a staff to take care of things because I spent a lot of my time in my lab shop. Too bad I could never make a proper AI like JARVIS due to never having the tech needed for the processing power, and I wasn't wasting years making a very secure building just to house it. Single quote. There's that paternity test she tried to trick me later too. Let that go after a restraining order since I didn't want to fuck up the baby's life by taking everything from his parents. And there's my beautiful baby girl. Sleek design, fastest and most fuel-efficient engine humanity had ever seen. Capable of getting from Earth to Mars in about 2 days, and with fuel to spare for 2 more trips. Becoming the first man to grow food on Mars was pretty interesting too. Eat your heart out, Matt Damon. Single quote. Too bad none of that helped me get those healthcare and environmental reforms we really fucking needed. Goddamn politicians and lobbying. One of my greatest achievements was pissing off every politician in the country and about half the companies in the world when I managed to make any form of lobbying illegal. That's when you know you did something right. Single quote. And there's the mercenary group that tried to kidnap me before I John Wicked them. Saved my dog too, couldn't let them kill Artemis, she's way too much of a good girl. And there's the hole in the head of the guy who ordered the kidnapping. Single quote. And there's the explosion that took out the entire group of criminals who worked with him. And there the trial for the 21 companies and senators who tried to just me kill afterwards. Ooh, and now there's the little shits who tried to get me arrested for not letting myself be murdered or kidnapped. Supreme Court my ass. Single quote. Why are my thoughts so rude and emotional when I'm watching all these things I already know? Vincent suddenly thought to himself, as he knew he was usually much more controlled and calm than this. Oh, That's because you're currently a soul and your emotions are much more direct than when you were alive. Someone answered from beside him. Makes sense. Thanks. Vincent thought as that little mystery was solved. Single quote ellipsis single quote. Quote ellipsis quote single quote. Quote ellipsis. You gonna ask yet? The voice suddenly said as Vincent turns his attention very suddenly towards it. There Vincent found a vague outline of a person, sorta featureless like himself, but golden instead of blue, and with a mouth. Reminded him of that white thing next to the Fate of Truth in Fullmetal Alchemist. And you are? Vincent thought as it apparently could hear that. Well, I am a representation of death and the afterlife. And I've got a deal for you. That's why you're in this room. Stops you from reincarnating immediately. It said as a calm smile was the only thing on its featureless golden face. And what sort of deal would this be, because I'm not into the sell your soul kinda deals? Vincent asked as he tried to keep his currently very slippery wits about himself. A reincarnation into a specific world with some perks kinda deal. It answered as that got Vincent's attention. In exchange for, Vincent asked as he wanted to know the cost. Real simple really. I want you to be you in that place. Shake things up and kick ass while you're doing it, cause you're my favorite mortal since Merlin from that depressing universe. It casually answered with a widening smile. Merlin actually existed? Vincent asked in surprise as he was also internalizing the casual multiverse being a thing revelation. Yeah, everybody loves the dick wizard. It said as it made it look like it was wiping a tear out of its inexistent eye. Dick wizard? What kind of Merlin is that? A befuddled Vincent asked. Forgot you didn't have the Nasuverse in your reality. Shame. It replied as apparently Vincent's universe was missing an interesting anime he would have probably watched. Alright, so back on topic, which world are you talking about and what do you mean you want me to shake things up? Vincent asked to really clarify the offer on the table. Well, it's DxD. And what I want is to see how you, the man who used only his mind and body to actually threaten his entire world into improving. The man who would willingly let himself become the new demon parents would tell their kids about to push the planet forward. The man who would have ruled that mud ball should he had been born at minimum a century earlier. It declared as it became progressively more excited as it spread its arms before calmly looking at Vincent. I want to see him spread his wings properly. And after that, you can either pass on properly, reincarnate without memories or powers, or you can become one of my champions for a while. That crazy place, where tits can give you power to beat gods and the world gets saved by a bunch of kids under 20, with fuck all training, while everyone who could have done something twiddled their thumbs. Vincent immediately thought in response before properly thinking things through. After some time while the life story of Vincent Gale reached the greatest threat in history, when Vincent announced the price on each head of state around the world, as well as a few hundred CEOs, and that unless they signed and executed critical reforms to ensure the sustainability of the planet and its people, they would die. Vincent had trillions at the end of his life and he had contacted very single organization in the underworld about the legitimacy of this deal and of the existence of a few certain unhackable and untraceable bank accounts and vaults set up to pay anyone who officially took the jobs and succeeded. This would take effect in 4 months to give the world time to actually start something. They didn't take his word seriously. Then deaths started happening around the world. Vincent did make sure to keep those he knew were actually trying to do some good out of the hit list. Then a second warning came. He would not stop after the second grace period of 6 months ended. They had been warned. And sure, some scrambled to do as he demanded. But most of the superpowers ordered his death like it could change anything. It resulted in the death of 216 agents, while the majority of the underworld stayed out of it in fear of losing the chance for some of the billion-dollar contracts on some people. There's my favorite part, your death, the Golden One said, getting Vincent's attention. They both watched as the most wanted man in the world finished setting everything up for the child he only found out was his a few days prior, send out his final message that his death would solve nothing and that in 2 months the hits would begin again, then pressing his big red button. What a bang, it said as they watched the space station Vincent had actually been in for the last year explode in the largest firework in history. What can I say? I took going out with a bang quite literally, and that way no one could stop everything from happening. Vincent replied emotionally, since even if he was ready to die to ensure no one could force him to stop, it had still only been a short time since then, and then implications of his death were still hitting him. I hope Miranda never tells the kid I was his dad. Vincent thought as the possibility of his path being so different should he had known about little James. But then you wouldn't be the you are now. It simply said as he turned himself towards Vincent. So what's it going to be, Vince? Deal or no deal? Depends on what kind of perks you're offering, really. I can't see myself achieving much without some kind advantage in a world where some gods can just see everything that happens on Earth, read minds or simply snap me out of existence without needing infinity stones. Vincent replied as he really did understand just how deadly DxD could be. Plot armor stopped Issei from getting squashed way too much. I know that already. That's why you're getting some pretty good bonuses. And by that I mean some minor alterations to that universe, your choice regarding when you show up on the timeline, no one reading anything from your mind before your new life, a fully customizable body, and then you get the real perks besides keeping what makes you, well, you. The Golden One explained as if making a sales pitch. That is quite generous. How can you alter a universe though? I thought you said you were a representation of death. Questioned Vincent as this made it sound a lot more powerful than he initially imagined. That's an easy one. During one of our last inter-concept tournaments, one of my champions did really great and I got the rights from a being governing that specific DxD universe I'm sending you to. Basically beings on my level had some fun, I won some bets and wagers, so now I'm cashing in to enjoy myself. There's really only so much to do when you're like us. It answered in rather mundane terms as Vincent temporarily ignored the fact that there are apparently enough beings like this one to hold a tournament involving rights to mess with universes as some kind of minor bet. Right, so I have some ideas on what I want already and when I want to be born, inserted, transmigrated or whatever is going to happen. Still a bit curious as to what changes you're going to make and if anything major is gonna change from what I know. Vincent announced as his considerable mind already went through everything he believes he would need. Haha, it's great that you're on board. And don't you worry, nothing major's gonna change unless you do something to make it change. That one depends on when you decided to get popped in. All I'm doing is having a bit of fun and giving you a bit of Nasuverse since you didn't have any and they make for some more interesting heroes. Golden explained as he excitedly made a screen appear in front of Vincent. This reminds me of Skyrim, but better. Vincent idly thought as he began to go through the options. Name less than will depend on origin greater than. Race less than please select greater than. House, family, organization, layer of heaven, hero bloodline, godly bloodline, creature type less than options will depends on origin greater than. Bloodline ability less than will depend on origin greater than. Appearance less than will depend on race greater than. Origin less than race must be determined first. May get denied. Greater than. Perks less than will be chosen last. Greater than. Well, let's start with race first. Vincent thought as a list appeared with the races he could choose in DxD. Let's see. Looks like I can't choose any kind of god as expected. Dragons are available but they mature very slowly. I'll remove the beast races since I want to be humanoid at least. But as I thought, even with the innate disadvantages, devils are the most doable if I want to grow like I plan to and have the most opportunities for social mobility with the right timing. Race less than devil, may be altered depending on origin greater than. So let's see. Next I'll fill out origin since it affects pretty much everything. Looks like it's basically going to be my background then. No, that's not going to be enough. Being in a noble family would have advantages, but if the leader doesn't retire even after I'm ready then that'll be annoying. Can't just commit patricide since I'm pretty sure even devils frown on killing your father to become lord. Being from a lost house would be pointless since anything the family might have had was no doubt taken by others anyway. I guess I'll do that then, even if some alternations might be needed. Origin less than the first new devil birthed by Lilith from Hades' experimentation. Deemed a failure due to no true activity before I take over, even if born at high-class power and holding the potential to grow to the level beyond the original Satans. The body was dumped in a random battlefield to cover Hades' tracks, unable to erase it due to some people almost discovering him. This new devil actually holds a new unique bloodline magic, signifying a new house among devils. Greater than. Less than notice. Origin acceptable. Minor changes accepted. Option to choose devil house removed due to creation of house unnamed. Additional power spared from leftover origin allowance and house choices reallocated to perks and bloodline abilities. Greater than. Neat. Guess I'll do my bloodline ability next. Vincent thought as he was happy to remember that little bit about Hades experimenting on the comatose body of Lilith Risebom had kept. Vincent honestly felt kinda bad for Lilith. Tricked into eating the apple and becoming the first devil, Lucifer coming down and then getting her to pop out new devils without stop, going to war against heaven and then the Gregory. Meanwhile she was still giving birth because Lucifer was forcing her until she just dropped and became comatose. And after that, her son decides to experiment on her comatose body and later just let another use it to make more devils. Well, all that sympathy comes with the condition that she wasn't a truly willing participant and wasn't a massive genocidal bitch. Vincent added as he browsed through the frankly extensive list of powers he could get from his choice of origin. That is until he saw a very special one. Less than spatial manipulation greater than. Holy shit, this is way too much potential to not use. Especially with all those comic and anime ideas mixed with my actual understand of 3D and 4D space. Vincent excitedly thought as he chose the option. As long as I can train it, then I can definitely become a top 10 powerhouse. You're quite lucky that your origin just involved manipulating a few events to happen slightly earlier and ensuring your body is safe and sound. Saved a ton of the energy it would have required to insert you into an existing family while maintaining general canon. Golden said from the side, confirming that spatial manipulation was not in choice originally. Now for looks. Vincent thought as he went through all the characters he could remember as possibilities for himself, but in the end he decided to do things a bit different. Since I'm an all-new devil house, might as well make myself a bit more unique. He thought as Vincent decided to use the appearance of one Prince Soma Asman Kader from Black Butler, light brown skin, wavy shoulder-length plume hair, and a minor change to make the eyes a mix between golden and emerald green, creating a pair of near-hypnotizing eyes which contraste nicely with the skin. Images here. And as for my name, Lith in honor of Lilith being my mother, and Azareth for the family name since I quite liked Raven as a character. Vincent thought as he finalized his choices. Name less than Lith Azareth greater than. Race less than high-class devil. May change due to perks greater than. House less than extra house Azeroth greater than. Bloodline ability less than spatial manipulation greater than. Appearance less than approved greater than. Origin less than son of Lilith greater than. Perks less than ready for selection greater than. Last step, Vincent thought as he could almost feel the phantom of adrenaline in his veins as he opened the perks list. This might take a while to properly balance. He then thought as he went through a whole list of powers, talents, sacred gears, general perks and assistance he could receive upon starting his new life. No rush, I want you to be ready when you prepare to take DxD by storm. Golden reassured with a near-savage smile on his only feature. Some time later. I think I've got it, Vincent thought with some form of tiredness even though he should only be a soul right now. Less than Alphek a tyrant with a fully controllable balance breaker ready to activate base on my desires greater than. Less than ability to house a second compatible sacred gear up to Longinus level greater than less than constant location of incinerate anthem greater than. Less than immense talent towards everything regarding the body, mind and soul greater than less than isolated and movable training ground with comfy cabin greater than less than information package on the underworld greater than. Less than immunity to the damaging parts of my own sacred gears greater than. That should be everything. My son of Lilith origin is going to give me a massive edge in regards to demonic power innately. Bloodline abilities come with an innate understanding which already makes developing it a lot easier. That combined with these new perks is going to allow me to really set myself up properly. I thought as I gave everything a final check before confirming. Good choice saving for that last one. I would have let you do what I think is pretty obvious you're going to do, but it would have been really disappointing to watch you burn yourself to death or kill yourself using holy nails. Golden said as it double-checked everything itself. Less than race change to partial human to accommodate scared gears high-class devil, human hybrid greater than. Well, I guess I'm going to be making some extra waves. Not even sure if there are any dark-skinned devil families. The closest was Cateriel Leviathan and I'm pretty sure that was a tan since Ingvild is pretty white, and on top of that I'm going to be a hybrid. Gonna be fun, Vincent thought as he read the notification about his race change. Well, that's everything. Time for the timeline then. So what'll be Vince? Golden asked as he closed the interface. 10 years before the Devil Civil War, in an area close enough to Grimoire territory that I can go trade with others if I need to. Vincent answered seriously. Ah yes, nothing better than chaos and war to make your way up in life. Golden responded with a knowing smile. Exactly, Vincent thought with a nod. Good, then that's that. I guess I'll see you when you die. And if you somehow reach my level, then we'll go out for a drink and I'll show you ropes. Golden said cheerfully as he finished everything up apparently. Thanks for this. Vincent meaningfully thought at the strange golden being before him. My pleasure actually. Now try not to die too soon. Golden replied as he pushed Vincent into a hole he hadn't seen appear behind him. Hee, how he can screw over all those jackasses reviving people all willy-nilly. That'll make things even better. -1498, Underworld, remains of a skirmish between Grimoire and a demonic beasts. First-person POV. Gasp. Ha ha ha. That was a rather unpleasant sensation. I said as I could feel my body jump-starting. Truly was too. It does make sense however. I didn't realize it at the time but being only a soul made me use different ways to see, and feel, as substitutes for the missing physical traits necessary to actually do that, so at the moment I was feeling some rather intense sensory overload. Never realized how much noise all my internal organs actually made until now. I thought rather weirdly as my eyes began growing accustomed to being properly used for the first time. Turns out I was in a destroyed field. One which saw a battle I could have never imagined as a human. Bodies of devils and near satanic beasts strewn all over, most either in pieces or heavily damaged from blades, claws, fists or even elements. Craters from strong impacts, deep gashes in the earth, still burning flames, the sight of great ice lances penetrating the ground, some still muddy terrain. Then I realized I could feel, for the lack of a better word, all those things more than I could see them. A truly novel sensation due to it not being one I had in my previous life. Ah, I thought in sudden realization, this must be the most basic abilities needed to truly manipulate space, spatial awareness and perception. It was truly marvelous to see the world in such manner. Although at the most basic level, I could see the surface layer of everything in my range much better than I could using my eyesight, even after it has appeared to have been enhanced by becoming a devil. My senses give me a good 61 meters of perfect spatial perception and about 113 meters of general awareness. All passively of course, I have no doubt this could be improved by understand how to manipulate my demonic power through my new senses. I thought as I went through the possibilities of this ability ranging from planet to near-dimensional coverage if one is strong enough mentally to withstand the enormous amount of information this would make the brain endure. That is for after I find a proper area to set up my home however. I thought as I instinctively activated my devil wings. But to my surprise they seemed to be different than the standard bat wings depicted in the show. Instead of pure black, mine seem almost translucent, as if they weren't truly there. They still moved when I thought about it and knew for a fact that they were real and could let me fly, but my spatial awareness told me they were basically there but not there. In layman's terms, my wings couldn't be hid unless one used abilities and magic related to space or one had properties capable of ignoring such things. Right, it makes sense now. I remember Riser having flaming wings instead of standard ones like Rias in her peerage. This means house abilities could affect certain physical traits like wings. I thought as a reasonable theory emerged from the known facts. No use putting things off longer then, let's test these bad boys. I thought as my translucent wings spread and I carefully began to feel myself become lighter, but finding this coming so naturally I took a deep breath, focused my strength into my legs and jumped. I went a lot higher than I imagined, forgetting I was much stronger than my past life as I was now a high-class devil. But the moment I felt my wings catch the air and what I could only assume was my demonic power flowing instinctively to support my flight, I just couldn't stop my heart from racing. I'm actually flying. Without any sort of device to support me, I'm flying. I thought in amazement as I took in the sights before me. The purple sky covering the vast lands as far as the eye can see. The forest and mountains behind me. The hints of civilizations up ahead as farm fields could be spotted. So this is the underworld before the rise of the anti-Satan faction, huh? No celestial bodies. My guess is that it would also be completely futile with some mixes of fantasy thrown in due to magic, especially since this is the end of the 15th century and it wouldn't be very different in the human world. I'll know for sure when I activate that information package I requested. But for now I know in which direction I can find at least some people, so I'll head towards the mountains to set up my new home. I thought as directed myself towards my goal a bit sloppily, but I have time to train. If those protagonists, rivals, antagonists and comrades could go from weaklings to powerhouses in less than 2 years, then I should be able to ensure my survival during the civil in 10 years. And with that I flew towards what would most likely be my home for the next 10 years. Blank, underscore, blank. Extra author note. His spatial manipulation will actually start of rather mild, using the superpower wiki to generally gauge the level of mastery Lith will hold over his powers. Right now he's at the basic level, which involves spatial awareness, creating small spaces, shortening spaces and creating some basic spatial constructs. He cannot just take on a Satan class, and that will take some time. Now regarding power levels. The standard low, middle and high classes will still apply. Ultimate class is a tricky one, thus will basically be divided into general fanon classes, ultimate class, strongest below the level of divinity. Depending on matchups, they can defeat some gods. Not all gods are major ones like Loki and Odin. We have gods of music too. Satan class. Devils reaching the peak of their race and are capable of matching and even defeating major gods. Super Devil class. They broke through the limits of their race and can be counted as some of the strongest in the entire DxD. They are strong enough to fight chief gods. Devils from extra houses is an advantage in demonic power quantity and quality when at the same level to devils from pillar houses have the same advantage over extra houses to Satan houses such over pillar houses. This does not mean mutations, varying natural abilities, talent, training or intelligence cannot overcome these distinctions. The above is simply a standard for what is going to be normal for devils and generally explains why cultural divisions are a thing. Older families did have valid reasons for thinking they were better. Now about those bloodline abilities like destruction, worthless and Lith space, it will just be called that later. My idea is that these abilities give you advantages when fighting in your weight class, high versus high, ultimate versus ultimate, and maybe give you the chance to win against the weaker members of the class above you. The stronger the target of your ability is from the user, the less effective. Examples. Rias using destruction against Riser didn't really do much on its own. He could use his own power he understood and used better than her to counter her. He was still way too cocky and arrogant in the fight, but the point still stands. But if either used their skills on normal high-class devils, then they would probably wipe the floor with them. Dehauser Belial was able to hold the top spot in the rating game for decades, if not centuries, using his worthless ability, but was only said to rival the Satans. This tells me that his ability can be countered in two ways. Simple overpowering it or using concepts he couldn't understand to make him unable to cancel it. And an extreme example of Lith challenging Searzex would just end up with the Mao, destroying Lith space easily. Finally, the flow of the story shouldn't take too long to reach canon events. Stuff happens when you're writing a story. His self-training will be fairly quick, but he won't reach Super Devil with that. He will not be revealing his Longinus unless he's truly about to die for future reasons. And he will only be getting Incinerate Anthem after the Civil War, while he travels to gather a good amount of his peerage members. Note that I said he won't be revealing his Longinus, not that he won't use. After the peerage gathering and some territory developing, there probably will be some rather large time skips since not too much is supposed to happen after the Civil War, meaning big events like a war. Known DxD events after that are the creation of the Carmilla and Tepes vampire faction, later leading to the full-blown Civil War. Cocobeal and Strata fighting in WW2. Assassination of Yagaki and Claria Belial. Akino's past, Mom's death and how she became Rias Queen, Kaneko and Kuroka's past. Yuto's past. Gasper's past. Dulio's past. Valley's past. /dog events. Canon. And as a warning, only going to be messing with a few of those. Going to lay some groundwork in the vampires, save Claria like most FFs do, change events surrounding Kaneko and Kuroka, keep Akino's mom, and still not sure regarding the /dog stuff. Anyway, that's enough out of me. You got my power scaling and general outline for the story. Hope you all can enjoy. So yeah, that's my new idea for a fanfic. A new devil who could actually hold the title of Satan and start his own house and is from the Civil War generation, instead of having to make the character somehow reach godhood in like a year with op. Powers. Like previous FF I wrote, I pretty much keep things in universe. So no arc of embodiment or Sharingan or whatever. I have the peerage and probably his official noble wife figured out, so there's that. Hope a few of them are enjoyable. Minor O. Creators, thoughts. Alexander_the_Gray. Plus 61.